we reach a stopping place where we can't go further anymore. And that's when we reach outside of ourselves, and whether we reach out to God or mentors or somebody that can give us advice, or our church or our religion or whatever, we reach outside of ourselves. And I believe that when you get to that place of giving up, and you get to that place of quitting, and you get to that place of fuck it, I can't do this anymore, that is a certain crossroads, that is a place where the line is drawn in the sand, and where you're able to progress past where you are and to the next place. And I don't know why life works this way, but often we are pushed to our breaking point right before we break. And then at the time that we're breaking, the Savior comes in. Maybe it's a mentor, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a new job, maybe it's a woman, maybe it's an opportunity, maybe it's a man, maybe it's a pregnancy, maybe it's a word from a stranger, maybe it's $10,000 you found in an envelope on the side of the road, maybe it's a tax refund that you didn't know was coming, maybe it was an angel that showed up in your sleep, maybe it was a dream that you received that gave you knowledge, whatever it is. But it's like we get to this place of no return, of like, fuck it, I'm done. And sometimes it takes us getting to that place for the true passion of who you are to come out. Because you're a soldier, and you're here for a mission. And sometimes it takes us to getting to our fraying edges before we realize how powerful we really are. And sometimes we should be thankful for our enemies, perceived or real. Whether it is the devil, the universe, or God, or ourselves. That pressure, that oppression, that suppression, it does make you stronger. And at some point, you're willing to be so broken that you're willing to ask for help. And when you're willing to externalize and go outside of yourself, there's a humbleness there and a breaking of your ego that allows in help from the outside. Whether the help is a piece of knowledge that you needed that you didn't have, like me and my low testosterone. Somewhere along the line, somebody and something shows up to help you. And what it does is it gives you a testimony. Something you survived through. Something that was a testament. Something that made you stronger. Yeah, it sucks that this is how human life is. Isn't it so? I believe that we are so powerful beyond what we've ever known, expected, or dreamed, that sometimes life, call it God, the universe, call it your higher self, call it Satan, whatever you need in your religion, it's all the same, is there to actually help you. People think that the devil in the Bible, it's so funny, people think that the devil's a bad guy. I'm sorry, I've never read one place in the Bible where the devil didn't do exactly what Jesus told him to do. I never read one place in the Bible where there was a demon involved in the story and Jesus told it to go do something and it didn't obey with all fucking honor and dignity. I'm sorry, there's not one story in the Bible where Jesus was overcome by the devil. Not one. There's not one story in the Bible where the devil wasn't a help in some way. Read the Bible. Read it again. Read it for what it says. Read the stories of Jesus interacting with demons in the Bible, and you'll see There's not one where the devil and the demons weren't obliging to exactly what Jesus asked and said and decreed and declared. There wasn't. There wasn't one time where the devil was fighting against. Why is it that if we were to consider that there's a devil, that you would have to also pay tribute to the fact that this God that you love and that you worship created him too? If oppression and suppression and struggle and trauma and pain is not good for you and working for your betterment, then where did it come from? Because we're all sitting here on this planet Earth. I don't know, maybe you're on Mars. Maybe you're listening to this video and it's 200 years from 2004 when this video was recorded, this audio was recorded. And it's 2400 and you're sitting on Mars listening to this video. So I'll pay tribute to that. So whatever planet you're sitting on and you're listening to this audio, if you acknowledge that there was a source of power that created all of us in some way, fashion, shape, or form, and that there's good and that there's bad, then you have to admit and also acknowledge that the thing also created the good and the bad, and that in that there was purpose and intent and wisdom and guidance and truth, and that there wasn't something set up to destroy you. So there wasn't something set up so bad and so evil that it was sent to completely destroy everything that you were without leaving a semblance of hope for you. Because the pressures that come against you, the troubles, the heartaches, the pains, the tears, and everything that you've experienced, if it wasn't meant for your good, then where did it come from? Because I'm pretty sure that you're a sovereign being. I'm pretty sure that you're a being that was meant for our good, and that there is a purpose for you, and that in that purpose and in that good, that there's wisdom, and that there's something that's working for what's best. And if we can get a hold of that, then we can realize that we aren't fighting against the universe, that there isn't some suppression against us, and that everything is working for our good, whether it fucking hurts or not. When I was in the gym that time and I was bodybuilding and I was trying to get my muscles to grow and I was trying to lose weight and I was trying to get my six-pack to come in and I was trying to get my body fat to a certain place, and I was going to the gym for 9-10 months, 3 hours a day, working and I wasn't getting results, and I wasn't changing, and I wasn't getting the effect that I wanted, and I was getting frustrated, and my heart was getting broken, and I was getting disappointed in myself, and I was blaming myself, and I was beating myself up, and I was comparing myself to all those other things and those other men and that I was seeing in the gym that were just ripped, and I'm like, how is it that they are that way and I'm not? And I was getting down on myself. What happened in that was that I discovered knowledge that I didn't have, that my hormones were out of balance, and that's why I wasn't getting the results, that it wasn't anything that I was doing wrong, I wasn't misstepping anywhere, and that I wasn't doing anything wrong, and that it was actually something way different than I thought it was that was resisting me. What ended up happening is I fell in love with the idea of hormones and hormones therapies and testosterone, and I started studying it day and night, and I ended up starting a company from that treats the endocrine system, that treats hormone therapy, and we now help thousands of humans across the planet with hormone therapy. And there was so much beauty and there was so much good that came from that struggle, that it was far worth the pain that I went through at the time. And then I finally realized, when everything came full circle, that there was a reason why I experienced that. And it seemed as if the struggle was given to me from above, almost like the challenge that I was given by having low testosterone therapy and having low testosterone and going through those pains and going through those struggles of not getting my body to change and wanting my body to change, and then staying up late at night trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong and pouring through my bodybuilding books and frustrated and blaming myself and staring in the mirror, looking into my eyes saying, you're not working hard enough, and then working harder and still not getting results. And then what came out of it was a business. Then I looked up in the stars and I realized we are being guided. Because if I hadn't had suffered through that, I wouldn't have started MultiGen Wellness Hormone Therapy. I wouldn't have started that business. Sometimes the thing that you're going through is what you need to get to where you're supposed to be going, and you don't have the data, the knowledge, and the wisdom to understand yet what is coming for you in the end that's so good. The woman who goes through an abusive relationship with an abusive man that beats the tar out of her, and then she overcomes that relationship. She gets the courage to leave, and then she starts writing books about toxicity in relationships and giving other women courage to leave their toxic relationships. And she starts a YouTube channel and begins to do one-on-one coaching to other women who are in circumstances like herself. She looks back at the pain and the trauma that she went through, and she realizes that it was for her, not only her own good, but the good of humanity, that she went through that pain. Sometimes we look to blame, and the whole equation of looking for blame is wrong, because we're not understanding that the things that we go through are not about us. You live this life for other people. You are here on a mission and a purpose and a reason to help other people. And the things that you go through are so that you have a testimony, so that you can tell other people, so they can gain experience and wisdom and hope from your story. And your story wouldn't be as beautiful without struggles. The most glorified stories that we hear are those who went from nothing to something, who had trouble and trauma and pain, and they came above it. Those are the stories as humans that help us, that we love to hear. Your story is no different. My mother, she always told me that she knew that there was something great called upon my life because of all the pain that I've had to endure. And I think about that sometimes when I get upset and I get hurt and I come in here and I make one of these videos for you guys, or I make one of these audios for you guys, because I'm like, okay, great. Pain into purpose. Pain into purpose. Pain into purpose. So I convert my pain into purpose. I go through things and I sit here and I share them with you so that you can gain insight and power to overcome them in your own life. And when you realize that you are not here for yourself, that God and the universe or whoever is the higher being, whatever that is for you, I don't need to title it for you, whether it's Jesus Christ, whether it's Buddha, it doesn't matter. I'm not here to have a discussion about what is the right God or not. This video is for all, whether you're Hindu or Buddhist or Scientologist or Christian or atheist. You guys are just fucked, but it doesn't fucking matter. You go through things so that you can help other people through those things down the line. That is the purpose. And sometimes when we're going through pain and we're suffering, we need to look for the underlying meaning, the underlying purpose behind what it is that we're going through, behind how can this help and benefit somebody else. Do you think that God is so great that he knows that you're such a badass, that he knows that you're such a soldier, that he knows that you're so strong that he could take your child and take your relationships and take your businesses and take your confidence and damage you and damage you and damage you, because he knows you're going to keep rising up and keep rising up. And every time you rise up, you help other people. Could it be that we are so powerful in ourselves that the things that we suffer through are actually an honor. And I think that's where appreciation comes in for our troubles and our traumas and our struggles. Troubles, traumas, and struggles, baby. Troubles, traumas, and struggles. That's the recipe of successful living. Who wants to hear about the glory story of the rich boy? Inherited millions and millions and millions of dollars and then turned around and built $1 million company. Who the fuck cares about that story? We want to hear about the trailer park boy who had holes in the floor of his trailer houses when he grew up, and then he built a business out of nothing and scaled himself up even though he didn't have an education, and he fought all the odds against life and succeeded. Those are the stories that we honor. Maybe it's time for you to thank the fights that you're going through. Maybe it's time for you to show appreciation for the pain and the struggles that you've had. Because those things are leading you to a place to where you can help other people. And if there's no purpose behind the struggles that you're going through, you might as well just give up. But if there's a purpose behind the struggles and the pains and the disappointments that you've experienced, then it all makes sense. I think we're hang on to this hope that one day it'll all make sense. One day it's all gonna make sense. It all makes sense when you realize that the things that you've experienced help other people. I think that we're so fucking selfish. Sometimes all we think about is ourselves, and God bless us, how can we not? The man that struggles through life and is able to turn around and mentor another young man, that is the beauty of life. You have to realize that there's people down the line that you can help. There's people down the line that need your help. There's people down the line that you haven't met yet, that need your teachings, that need the books that you can write, that need the words that you can speak. They need you to get through your fight and overcome so that you can come back and help them. That is the secret key to changing your circumstances 100%, is simply by inserting an understanding which gives you appreciation of what you're going through, which gives you a power that you didn't already have and allows you to overcome that thing. When you can thank God, if that's what you call the higher power, for the thing that you're going through, because you know that down the line you can help somebody else, that right there is the trick. That's the bypass. That's the secret button. That's the loophole. That's the, instead of going through the maze, you climb on top of that bitch and jump out. When you take your mind outside of yourself and externalize from focusing so hardcore on the problems that are right in front of your eyes, like your problems are right in front of your eyes, dude. Like you have these problems and they're right in like 2 inches from your eyes. Like take your hand and put your hand 3 inches out from in front of your eyes. And there's all your problems, your present time problems, right? And it's just blinding because all your problems are right there, 3 inches from your eyeballs, and they're just right in front of you. But then when you can raise up a little bit, like raise your head up a little bit over your hand, and you can look over your hand and see that out in the beyond, see out in the yonder, and see some young man or young woman out there that is going to be able to be helped by your story, you've now overcome your problems. Greater are you than your problems. Greater is the effect that you can have on those people in the future that you haven't met yet, influenced yet, talked to yet, encouraged yet, than your problems in front of your face right now. Lift your hand up and put your hand over your 2 eyeballs. Hold it 3 inches from your eyeballs and you realize that you can't see anything but your hand. And then lift your head up 2 inches and you can see past your hand. That's the equivalent of gaining this insight, is that you are not here for yourself. The things that you're going through are not for you. It ain't even about you. And we're so fucking selfish that we can't get beyond that. And until we can get beyond that, we won't rise above our problems. What problems do you have in your life? What would it take for you to become thankful of those problems? What would it take for you to shift to where you realize those problems are for you and not against you? What would it take for you to understand that there's a young woman and a young man out there somewhere in your future that's going to benefit from the pain that you're going through right now? We truly are our worst enemies. We truly are our worst enemies. There's no enemy greater than yourself. And your major enemy is your selfishness. Your inwardness. My mom gave me this computer one time. I was in desperate need of a computer. I didn't have the money to get it at the time. My mom had this old laptop, HP maybe. It was at least 5 to 6 years old. Old technology, but fucking worked. It connected to Wi-Fi and it worked. And I used it. And I used it. I was grateful for it. But one day, I postulated and started praying to earn enough money to buy another laptop. I wanted a brand new one, baby. I wanted a 14-inch laptop with all the bells and whistles. I wanted it to be a thin, convertible kind. I wanted to have a touch screen. And I went out in Majestic Lighting Design. I drove out to Houston and sold a $4,800 landscape lighting job to a guy who ran a Toyota dealership out in Houston. And he paid me in cash. And I remember that I had been praying for months and praying for months and praying for months for a computer. And my mom ended up telling me that she had this old work computer that her work had provided for her, and they replaced it and she didn't have any need for it or whatever. And it was just sitting there and she wasn't using it. And I got that computer and I was, It wasn't the computer that I wanted, but it worked, and I was grateful for it. Finally, I went out and I sold that new job for Majestic Lighting in Houston, and the guy lived in, I think, Kingwood, Texas, and he had a backyard and a front yard, and we put lights in the front and the backyard and multicolor lights on his waterfall, and it was just so beautiful. The guy paid me in cash. And I remember when the job was done, I went up to Best Buy with $1,000 in $100 bills. And I picked out the fanciest 14-inch laptop that I could fucking buy. I mean, this fucking thing was a convertible, a touchscreen, everything you could think of, fast as shit. It was app-based, so even though it was HP, you could download apps on it. It was cool. And I had this old laptop that my mom gave me, and it was just sitting in my bookshelf or somewhere, and I didn't know what to do with it. And soon enough, this situation with this young fella came along, and he had explained that he was taking some online classes to get him a job somewhere in some fashion or form. His biggest problem in the world was that he needed a laptop to do his online classes. And I looked at him and I said, "Young man," I said, "why don't you wait right here?" And I walked into where I had that old laptop sitting, and I got that old laptop off the shelf, and I walked in the house and I set that old laptop in front of that young boy, and I said, "There's you a laptop." And he looked at me and he goes, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "You said you need a laptop, eh?" He goes, "Yeah, I needed a laptop to do my online courses." I said, "Well, there's you a laptop, free of charge." And he said, well, he just looked at me and said, "I can't take that from you. I can't take your laptop." I said, "Look, that was my old laptop." I said, "I just bought a brand new one in cash, $850. I paid him with $100 bills. And then when I got done buying the laptop, I went across the street to 51 1 Street, and I sat down and ate me a steak dinner where I had the New York strip steak. I had some mashed potatoes, I had the greens, and then I ordered dessert afterwards, and I got me the apple pie. I paid it $100 bills. I said, "Look, man, this laptop is yours." And he looked at me and he said he was an employee. He worked for my brother Jeremiah in his company, and he was an employee for my brother, and he was trying to take these online courses, right, to do himself better in life. And he was desperate. He needed a laptop, and I handed this laptop to him. I set it in front of him. I said, "There's your laptop, brother. Take this laptop and do what you need to do." And he looked at me and he goes, "I can't take this. They got to pay you for it." I said, "I can't take the money from if you wanted to pay me for it, because I got it for free. And if I sold you something that I got for free, that's unethical. This laptop is yours, sir." I said, "This laptop got me through something to where I was able to buy my own laptop in cash. And I got an $850 HP laptop convertible touchscreen sitting in my house. And this one I've been praying for what to do with it. And it's yours." And tears started welling up in his eyes, and he just didn't know what to expect. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever helped him that way. And by God, that young man took that laptop and he did his online courses, and he got himself a job, and he got the job that he was wanting to get, and he succeeded in his plans. And years later, the young man messaged me and said, "I want to let you know that giving me that laptop changed my life." And it's those nuances, those little meaningful things in life that show us that there's a higher power that's moving in all of our struggles and our pains and our traumas and our fights and our battles. Because when you go through a battle, it's not for you. It's for the person down the line that you can help. Because of what you went through, you can tell them and help them and encourage them that they can go through the same thing. When you externalize and quit talking about your fucking self and say, "Who can I help?" That is the secret key that unlocks the battle that you're fighting. It takes the foot of the demon off your throat, because you're not thinking about yourself anymore. And when you're not going to war for yourself and you're going to war for somebody else, which is somebody unknown in the future that you can help, the whole fucking universe gets behind you. And then you realize that the demon and the devils and all of it is actually working in one accord to get you where you're going. And this, my friend, is the secret of life. Love. And looking for those moments when you can help other people. It's those little bitty things that make it all so meaningful.